to wreak havoc on her equilibrium. She put the pot back on the warmer and brought his cup over to the counter where he sat, front and center, casually overwhelming the small space with the sheer force of his presence.
"Thank you."
"You're welcome." With his hat brim blocking her view, she couldn't tell if he'd looked up, but as there were no physical signs of male interest, no stiffening, no catching of breath, she was going to assume he hadn't. She opened the case and took out the 2 bear claws, heavy with extra icing, that she'd prepared earlier, and passed them to Caleb, making sure to lean in as she did, treating him to a nice view of her button-popping cleavage. This close she couldn't miss his scent, as it mingled with odors of cinnamon and sweet dough. He smelled of the forest, of wildness, of heaven. Good grief, was there anything about the man that didn't make her mouth water? Caleb hooked a finger on the edge of the plate and pulled the offering toward him, the creases beside his mouth deepening just a touch. With amusement or irritation?
"Thank you."
His deep baritone stroked along her senses, adding an excited flutter to her already jangled nerves. "You're welcome." He didn't look up, just nodded and wrapped his lean fingers around the coffee cup and took a drink. This close she could count the dust particles clinging to the brim of his black Stetson, but could see absolutely nothing of his expression. Not that she needed to see it to know the man obviously wasn't impressed. Nothing in his body language said he registered a half-naked, slightly curvier than was stylish brunette standing before him. Which was more than a little insulting. She wasn't fashion model pretty, but she also wasn't hag of death ugly. And honestly, from her observations of her brothers, when it came to breasts, men simply didn't have standards. "Can I get you anything else?" she asked, bending unnecessarily to align another tray under the glass countertop, just in case he truly hadn't noticed.
"No, thank you."
She blew her bangs off her brow as she straightened. This was not encouraging. They'd had this same conversation for a month now, and the lack of variety was seriously making her question the wisdom of her interest in Caleb Johnson. After all, a body to die for, high cheekbones, forest green eyes, and more testosterone than one woman should have to endure without a tranquilizer could only carry a man so far. And Caleb had about maxed out the mileage on his assets as far as she was concerned, to the point that there was absolutely no reason for her to have this interest in him. Except she did, way down deep where it wouldn't be denied. She suppressed a sigh. She really should give up and accept that the big rancher just didn't have the hots for her the way she did for him. She should, but she wouldn't for the simple reason that her gut instinct indicated otherwise, and her instincts were never wrong. The bear claws disappeared with smooth efficiency. So did the coffee. Caleb wiped his mouth, the white of the paper napkin startling against the darkness of his skin. He placed a 10 on the counter, then tilted his battered hat back and met her gaze dead on, the darker green flecks of his eyes somehow blending into shadows that shifted and moved, beckoned. The impact of that look ripped through her like a bolt of lightning, immobilizing her muscles and trapping her breath in her lungs.
"Enjoy your day."
If she'd had to say anything but another knee-jerk thank you, she wouldn't have been able to manage it. Thank goodness for the manners her mother always said could carry a woman through any stressful situation, because trying to maintain a civilized conversation while suppressing the urge to melt into a puddle at a man's feet had a way of taking a woman's stress factor from 0 to 10 in less than 6 seconds. Allie smothered a sigh as Caleb headed toward the door the same way he'd done every day for the last month, head up, shoulders back, with that rolling stride that made her knees weak. Oh, heck, everything about the man made her knees weak, and he treated her with the utmost courtesy and respect. She grabbed his plate and coffee cup off the counter and dumped them in the rubber tub. Damn his hide! The bell jingling over the door startled her into looking up. Caleb stood in the opening, shoulders filling the expanse, one hand on the door, a ghost of a smile hovering around his wide mouth as he touched the brim of his